in every game, there's bound to be Pokemon you never used before, whether it's because they only have one move, you forgot they exist, or maybe you can't get them until post game. Like, I just want to use these Pokemon during the main game. Is that really so bad? Anyways, there's a bunch of reasons for not using Pokemon, and today is the day where I use Pokemon I never used before in Soul Silver. And for the first time, we won't be using any of these starter Pokemon as I've used all of them before, and I actually have a Chikorita named Pickle Perry Perkins, and I think that's the best name I ever came up with. Anyways, after doing a side quest, we can start our journey, and on Route 29, we can grab our first member, Hoot Hoot, that we named Barbecue. The reason why I never used one before was because I thought it was ugly, so I never thought about using one. So yeah, I still find Hoot Hoot kinda ugly, but since Ash had one, I might as well give it a try. It also learns some psychic type moves, and I've never used a bird Pokemon that could learn psychic type moves, so that'll be interesting. Now that we have Barbecue, we throw Chikorita to the Doom Dimension to never be seen again. I also forgot to mention that Barbecue has a bold nature, meaning defense is up and attack is down. Since I'm trying to beat the first gym with just Barbecue, we come up with a plan to beat Faulkner. Nah, who am I kidding? There's never a plan. Anyways, before we can actually face the gym, we have to go to Sprout Tower first, and as we get to the top, we meet our rival that we named Fritos, but we won't face him just yet, and now that we're done here, we can face Faulkner. With 2 Uproars, we knock out Pidgey, and his last Pokemon is Pidgeotto. They use Tackle while we use Uproar again, and next turn we put him to sleep, and we were only able to use 1 peck before they woke up and used Gust to take us out. Well, that was a flop, and it didn't get any better as the next couple rounds were impossible to win because they just kept spamming Roost over and over again. So it looks like we're not going to beat this gym with just Barbecue, so let's grab another Pokemon that I haven't used yet, where we backtrack to Route 29 to get a Sentret named Laze. Now, the reason why I never used one before was simply because I only ever taught it HMs and that's it, but this time, it's never going to learn an HM in its life. With that, we try again, and yeah, at this point, all they know how to do is use Roost, so we didn't have any luck for a while until we had this run. He sends out Pidgeotto, and since we're stuck on Uproar from facing Pidgey, we keep using it as they use Tackle. Next turn, he hits us low enough to make us eat our berry while we land a massive crit. This is huge. Another round goes by and we use another Uproar, but it wasn't enough and we leave them on red HP. I thought for sure we were done for, but then we somehow live another Tackle with 3 HP and land another Uproar to get the win. That was insane. We got a round where we got a crit and it didn't use any Roost. How insane is that? One thing I forgot to mention is that every time we had Lays out, we would get demolished. So that's why I was stressing a little towards the end of the fight. I will say Lays was still very useful as we found an Oranberry on him that we gave to Barbecue. After the fight, the professor tells us to hatch an egg, but we ain't doing that. We send it straight to the Doom Dimension to never see it again. After that, Lays evolved into Furret. In Azalea Town, we see this Team Rocket grunt giving an old man a haymaker, so we check up on him and he tells us to beat them up. So once we do all that, we can face our next gym leader, Bugsy, and this should be a breeze. Yeah, it was not a breeze. We did manage to get Scyther to half health even after he ate his berry, but we get taken out by U-turn. After beating up his Metapod, he sends out Scyther and uses Focus Energy while we use Peck. Next turn, they use Quick Attack and get a critical hit doing massive damage. There's no way that actually worked. I refuse to believe that happened. Anyways, we take him out with Peck. His last Pokemon is Kakuna and this should be a breeze, right? Wrong. Peck didn't do enough, so when they heal, they use a crit Poison Sting and also poison us to knock us out. That was ridiculous. I've never been more salty in my life. Let's try again. With Lays, we do the same thing again and get Scyther to half health before getting taken down by U-turn. With 3 pecks, we take down Metapod and then Scyther comes out. They use Focus Energy again, but they don't use Quick Attack next turn, so with 2 pecks, we knock him out. His last Pokemon is Kakuna, and it was scary at first getting poisoned and eventually getting us to half health, even healing, but after that we were able to use 3 packs no problem to win the fight. And all I gotta say, that first round was actually insane. I will say Lays isn't doing the best when it comes to facing the gyms, but it's been really nice to have when it comes to facing the trainers. And look at that walk, how can you hate that? It looks so goofy. For barbecue, it did okay, I guess. You can definitely tell having low attack made this gym way harder than it needed to be. But I'm not mad, as having our special attack be higher than our regular attack is gonna help us out in the long run. After that, we come across our rival and finally have our first official match, where we absolutely mop the floor. I will say, when barbecue got confused and we hit ourselves and then get hit with bite and then get taken out by curse was a crazy combo. That was a crazy combo, but after that, Lays was putting in that work using Rock Smash and then Quick Attack to win the fight. I didn't think Lays was actually going to carry this fight, but I'm definitely impressed. And no, I didn't use Rock Smash with Lays, you're hearing things. Anyways, I got something to tell y'all. Lays is not a permanent member to the team. I was only going to use it for the first gym, but it turned out to be really good, so it's sticking around. With that, we head to Elix Forest, where we catch 2 ducks before we can head off to the next area. Now that we're in the second part of the forest, we look for a guy who can teach us Headbutt, giving us some new encounters that we're going to add to the team. First was Pineco that we named Cheeseball. Now, the reason why I never used one before was simply because I'm a hater. I just never really liked it. And there's so many Pokemon to choose from. Pineco is the last Pokemon on my mind. But it's worth giving her a shot. I mean, it can't be that bad, right? Let's see, there's Bug Bite and Payback. That could be good. You know what? Let's look at their TMs. There's Toxic, Giga Drain, and Rock Slide. Okay, not bad at all. Let's check where we can find these. Post game, well, that's not good. The next Pokemon we can catch is Execute that we named Kettle, after Jalapeno Kettle Cooked Chips, but it doesn't fit. Anyways, the reason why I never used one before is the same reason I give to any grass type. I just genuinely never really use grass types in any playthrough that I ever do. But I will say this time around I have high expectations for Kettle, as psychic types are usually really good. Let's see, her nature is quirky, so that means nothing happens, which makes it more of a special attacker. So let's see its moves real quick. Let's see, it learns Confusion at 27? But the level cap to Morty's gym is 25. Well, that sucks. Wait, it also doesn't get Psychic until 47? And we can't get that until post game? And you're telling me if I evolve her now, we don't get Psychic at all? What a sick joke. You know what? I'll let future me handle this. I still gotta figure out where to get a Leaf Stone. With that, we head to Goldenrod City and go straight to the radio tower, where we answer some questions to win a radio card. And I swear I always end up getting one wrong. Ugh, man. Now that we're done here, we can face the next gym leader, Whitney. And Miltank was an absolute monster. This thing was hitting crits like it was nothing, taking out Lays and Kettle with ease. I sent out Cheeseball and land 2 stomps, but they both got flinches. I was losing my mind. Next turn, they used another stomp and got a crit. Oh, this is so bad. And that's not even the worst part. They used Attract on Barbecue, making us not land one move and getting taken out by stomps and rollout. That was such a one-sided fight, and when I tell you I was speechless, I can't believe that just happened. Alright, let's try again. With Lays, we get a crit Rock Smash, but it wasn't enough, and we get hit with Clefairy's ability Q-Charm. So for 3 turns, we couldn't do nothing but take damage, but after that, we land a crit Rock Smash to knock them out. She finally sends out Miltank, and I switch into Cheeseball, and we land 2 Bug Bites before going down to 4 Stomps. So we switch into Kettle and get hit with Stomp. Next turn, they use Stomp again while we use Hypnosis, and it lands. After that, we set up a Leech Seed and Reflect before we start using Uproar, and eventually getting them to use their Super Potions. After that, it wasn't much trouble at all, as we got them back down to low health pretty fast. After Uproar ended, I tried using another Reflect just in case they decided to use Milk Drink, but that never happened, and Leech Seed takes out Miltank to win the fight. The first attempt was crazy. Looking back at it now, it's even more ridiculous. I'm honestly surprised that we're still able to knock out Clefairy, even though we were hit with Q-Charm. So Lays is a bit of a trooper, and Kettle did a fantastic job. I honestly thought I was only going to be able to land Reflect before going down, but no. Kettle stuck around and used Leech Seed and Reflect to its limits. Kettle did not disappoint. After that, we head to the bug catching contest to get our newest member, Pincer, that we named Sweet Chili, after the Doritos Spicy Sweet Chili Chips. But sadly, it doesn't fit. Even though Sweet Chili is a bug type, it's honestly more of a fighting type, because how does it have more fighting type moves than bug type moves? Make it make sense. The reason why I never used one before is immediately because I got influenced to think that Heracross is the only choice between the two, but I never gave it a chance myself, so today we're gonna give it a go, and I think this will be a really good Pokemon. After the contest, we run into the Sudowoodo that's blocking the way, so we splash some water on it and then run away. On round 38, we can get another Pokemon to our team, and no one told me it was a 1% encounter. I was there for like 30 minutes real time sped up, just trying to find one. It was crazy. Once we find our Snubbull, we name her Funyuns, but her full name is Flaming Hot Funyuns, and again, it didn't fit. The reason why I never used one before was because I just thought of it as a Pokemon you just never use. Like Whismur, it's there, but I wouldn't use it. But who knows, we'll just have to find out. With that, we do some side missions as we need to do them before we have access to the gym. So we go to the Burn Tower, fight Fritos, find the roaming Pokemon, and with that, we go inside the gym, and as we fight all the trainers, Funyuns evolved into Gramble, and Barbecue evolved into Noctowl. With that, let's face Morty. He sends out Ghastly and uses Curse while we finish him off with Bite. But since we were hit with Curse, we switch into Kettle and they miss a Hypnosis. Next turn, they use Curse while we use Stun Spore, so we switch into Cheese Ball and watch him go down as he gets put to sleep and gets absolutely destroyed by Dream Eater. So we send out Funyuns and use Bite to knock them out. His next Pokemon is Gengar and they use Sucker Punch while we use Bite. Next turn, they put us to sleep, but it doesn't matter as we had a berry on Funyuns, preventing him from staying asleep. So he wakes up and uses Bite to knock them out. His last Pokemon is Haunter, and we use another Bite to get the win, and that's what I'm talking about. The last 3 gyms were so hard and unlucky, and we finally catch a break. Not only that, Funyuns went crazy and its attack is really good, making Bite do massive damage, so I'm already kicking myself for thinking Snubbull wasn't a Pokemon worth using. With that, we head to Mount Mortar to get our last Pokemon, Marill, and just like Funyuns, it was a 1% encounter, and I didn't know at the time, so I was really confused why we didn't run into one yet. I thought I was in the wrong spot. Anyways, 20 minutes later, we find a Marill that we named Cool Ranch. The reason why I never used one before was that I almost always use the water starter Pokemon, so I never really need to use another water type, and if I did need one, I would just use it for Surf or, whatever the case is. So yeah, I never hated it or anything, just never needed to use it. But I will say, now that we have one, I'm super excited because I came up with a really good name. With that, we evolve him into an Azumarill, and his nature is modest, so Surf Ice Beam combo is about to go crazy. In Olivine City, we go to the lighthouse where we eventually find Jasmine, and she says that Ampharos is really sick and if we could go to Cianwood City to get the medicine. So we cross the sea and we get the medicine, but since we're already here, let's go face our next gym leader, Chuck. With Barbecue, we tried using Hypnosis, but it turns out Primate's ability is Vital Spirit, preventing him from sleeping, so that was a flop. After using a couple confusions, they finally decided to use a move besides spamming Double Team, and they land a Rock Slide, also getting the flinch. Next turn, we miss the confusion, and they land a Focus Punch to knock us out. That ended terribly. We send out Lays and land a Headbutt to knock them out. His last Pokemon is Poliwrath, so with Lays we spam Headbutt and we eventually get Poliwrath to half health, even getting him to eat his berry before going down the Surf. I thought for sure we were gonna go down in 2 hits, but it took 4 instead. We send out Kettle and immediately get put to sleep, and I totally forgot it could do that. After 2 surfs, we wake up and land a Bullet Seed, and I was over here thinking it was gonna do some damage, and it did nothing. After that, we get hit with another Surf, and we live with 5 HP and land a Stun Spore. After that, we spam Confusion, and we were getting so lucky as Poliwrath couldn't move from paralysis. but eventually they move and land a surf to knock us out. We were so close to taking it down. I'm telling you, I would have lost my mind if we actually won with Kettle. Even though that didn't happen, with Funyuns we used strength to get the win. What a fight. I will say I was being a bit dumb, as I should have used Confusion sooner with Kettle than trying to use Bullet Seed, but I thought it'd be kind of funny if we landed 5 turns. I mean, I did have a King's Rock on it, so I thought I was gonna get the flinch. Speaking of Kettle, it did insanely good even after falling asleep and getting hit with 3 surfs and pretty much fighting with 5 HP the whole time. It was a beast. Kettle can definitely hold its own. Also, this was the last fight using Lays, and even though Lays didn't do much when it comes to the gym fights, it was still really useful when it came to facing regular trainers. With that, we head back to Olivine City and give the medicine to Jasmine to heal Ampharos, where we can now challenge Jasmine, and this is how it went. With Sweet Chili, we use Brick Break to one-shot both Magnemites with no problem at all. Her last Pokemon is Steelix, and we tried using Brick Break again, but it didn't do much damage, and they used Screech, harshly lowering our defense. So we switch into Cool Ranch, and with 2 surfs, we knock them out, winning the fight. Sweet Chili is already doing better than I thought, but I will say, I thought it would do way more damage to Steelix. I also thought Cool Ranch was gonna do more with Surf, but I guess it worked out. So now we can head to the Lake of Rage, where we fight the Red Gyarados, and after beating him up, we meet up with Lance and he tells us to help him out with Team Rocket. So let's speedrun this. We find some passwords, fight Team Rocket, and then knock out some Electroids, and with that we solve the problem and now we can face the gym. But before we do, Cheeseball evolves into Fortress and now we can face Pryce. With Cheeseball, we use a couple paybacks to knock out Seal, and his next Pokemon is Piloswine. They use Hail as we miss a Mirror Shot. After that, we go back and forth between Mirror Shot and Mud Bomb, but they had a berry, so we end up going down first. I send out Sweet Chili, and with Brick Break, we take down Piloswine and Dugong, no problem. Yeah, Cheeseball is just kinda here. Mirror Shot wasn't gonna do much because it's a special attacking move, while Cheeseball is more of a base attacker. And it also doesn't have the best accuracy, so yeah, Cheeseball isn't doing much. On another note, Sweet Chili is smacking everything in its way. I don't know why people don't use it as much as Heracross, besides it being a bit ugly. Out of nowhere, the gyms went from being really hard to really easy, but I think that's where it ends because no matter what, the last gym always ends up being the hardest. We get a call and it turns out we have to do more Team Rocket stuff, so as we were doing that, we run into our rival and we battle. But we don't need to talk about it that much because we absolutely mopped the floor. We only lost 1 Pokemon, but that was because I made a dumb play, but at the end, he knocked himself out. Well, that wasn't bad at all. With that, we finished the rest of the stuff with Team Rocket, and now we head to Blackthorn City, and with Kettle still not evolved, we head to the Pokeathlon and grind. After a while, we evolved Kettle into an Executor, and I decided to give up on learning Psychic, which is a shame, but we got Wood Hammer, so I guess it's a cool move, but I really don't know where I'm gonna use it. Also, the level cap to the next gym leader is 41, while the Elite Four is level 42. So some of my Pokemon are gonna be way lower for the last gym, as we don't want to overlevel any of our Pokemon, especially for the Elite Four. Also, I had to grind Heart Scales so that I could teach Funyuns Ice Fang, and it took an hour to get like 2. It sucked. That we faced Clair. They sent out Gyarados that uses Intimidate, lowering our attack before the match even started, and that's a problem as Cool Ranch's attack is already bad. But we use Rollout anyway, and we survived 3 Dragon Rages, eventually knocking him out with Rollout. Her next Pokemon is Dragonair, and we use Rollout again, but it wasn't enough, and we leave them at red HP, and they use a Fire Blast to knock us out. We sent out Funyuns while they healed, and we used Ice Fang. Next turn, they use Dragon Pulse while we use another Ice Fang to knock them out. Her next Pokemon is Kingdra, so we switch into Cheeseball and get hit by Dragon Pulse. But it didn't do much, and next turn they missed the Hydro Pump and we used Bug Bite again, eating their berry. After that, we tried using Bug Bite again, but this time they land the Hydro Pump, absolutely wrecking Cheeseball. We send out Barbecue and they're still faster using Hydro Pump, doing massive damage, but we land a Hypnosis, putting them to sleep, and then switching in the Kettle. We land a Leech Seed and then Confusion, which also got them confused. Next turn, they woke up and used Dragon Pulse that did a crazy amount of damage, but we still land the Confusion and Leech Seed gets them the red HP. Next turn, they hit themselves to get KO'd. Her last Pokemon is Dragonair and we use Stun Spore and Leech Seed before they use Dragon Pulse to knock us out. And honestly, as soon as I used Stun Spore, I remembered they had the ability to cure themselves, so that was my bad. After that, we sent out Funyuns and use Ice Fang to get them the red HP and freeze them. Not only that, but with Leech Seed, we finished them off, winning the fight. I thought Cool Ranch was gonna do more, but we didn't have a good counter to Gyarados, so we really couldn't see how well it could do against Dragon types, which is a little concerning. Teaching Funyuns Ice Fang was really worth it as facing her Dragonairs were really easy, so now I'm not mad that we spent a whole hour trying to find 2 heart scales. And I don't know if Kettle is just really good or just really lucky, but getting them confused and then using Leech Seed was a nasty combo. It turns out we got more story to do, so to keep it short, we face the Kimono Girls, head to the Whirl Islands, catch Lugia, and then head off to Victory Road, where we fight our rival for the last time, and there was only one Pokemon giving us trouble, and that was Golbat. They used Air Slash and Astonish to take out Sweet Chili, and our next Pokemon was Cheeseball, and since we're slower, they go first using Confuse Ray, and we were pretty much doomed as we kept hitting ourselves, but out of nowhere, Cheeseball landed Rock Tomb to get the win. This wouldn't have been bad if most of our Pokemon weren't gonna overlevel, so we only had like 3 Pokemon to work with, and for the first time, Cheeseball wasn't that bad. Now that we've beaten all the gym leaders, we go to the Elite Four where we face our first member, Will. They sent out Zaltu and used Confuse Ray, but knowing that would happen, we gave a berry to Funyuns to snap out of it and land a bite. Next turn, they used Psychic doing massive damage, but with another bite, we knocked them out. He sends out Jinx and uses Psychic, but we live with 1 HP and use Bite and leave them on 1 HP. Next turn, they heal, so we use another Bite, but after that, we get taken out with another Psychic. We send out Barbecue, and with Shadow Ball, we take out Jinx, Executor, and Slowbro with no problem. His last Pokemon is Zaltu, and everything went downhill fast. After they used Confuse Ray once, we broke out of it, and next turn they do it again. This time we kept hitting ourselves, eventually getting taken out by Psychic. So we send out Sweet Chili and use X Scissor, but it wasn't enough and they heal. So next turn we get taken out by Psychic. I send out Cheeseball and we get confused, so we just switch in a Cool Ranch, and after taking a beating, we knock them out with Ice Beam. What happened? Everything was going so well, and then out of nowhere, everything just went wrong. It was crazy. In any case, Barbecue was not holding back. In the beginning of the video, I said Barbecue was gonna be better in the long run, and I was not wrong. Funyuns was pretty solid, but it sucked that its special defense is butt. But I'm pretty happy with everyone besides Cheeseball. The next Elite Four member is Koga, and this is how it went. With Barbecue, we used Extra Sensory a couple times to knock out Ariados. The only problem being is that we can't switch out at all because Ariados used Spiderweb, preventing us from switching. His next Pokemon is Fortress, and nothing happens first turn as they use Protect. After that, we use Air Slash and get the flinch, so we do it again, and this time they use Toxic Spikes. With another Air Slash, we knock them out. His next Pokemon is Muck, but they didn't do much, so with a couple extra sensories, we knocked them out. His next Pokemon is Crobat, and they start spamming Double Team like there was no tomorrow, so we end up missing all of our shots and then getting taken down by Poison Fang. We send out Cool Ranch, and it wasn't looking good as we immediately get poisoned by Toxic Spikes and miss an Ice Beam, but after a while, we land an Ice Beam to knock them out. His last Pokemon is Venomoth and takes out Cool Ranch with Psychic. So we send out Funyuns, but there was no hope as we get confused and we kept hitting ourselves, eventually getting taken down by Gust. So we send out Cheeseball, and again we get hit with Confuse Ray and kept hitting ourselves, but with a lot of luck we land 3 Rock Tombs in a row to win the fight. I don't know what it is, but confusion is our worst enemy. Once again, Barbecue was an absolute monster, taking 3 Pokemon down like it was nothing. I did feel like Barbecue was gonna shine in some moments, but it definitely went beyond that. And Cheeseball did surprise me, as I definitely thought it was just gonna keep hitting itself as it's done in the past, but she pulled through at the very end, so I guess she's good, but that's it, nothing more than that. Our next Elite Four member is Bruno. With Barbecue, we spam Extra Sensory as they spam Quick Attack, and we eventually knock them out first. His next Pokemon is Hitmonchan, and we use Air Slash before going down to an Ice Punch. We send out Keto and get hit with Fire Punch that also burned us, and with Confusion, we knock them out. His next Pokemon is Hitmonlee, and with Blaze Kick, they knock us out, so I send out Sweet Chili and use X Scissor, and we get the flinch. So we do it again, and it wasn't enough, and they use Swagger, confusing us. So we switch into Cool Ranch, and the same thing happens again. We hit ourselves, doing massive damage. Next turn, we snap out of it and land Surf to knock him out. His next Pokemon is Machamp, and we use a crit Surf, but it wasn't enough, and they use Cross Chop, knocking us out. We send out Sweet Chili and use X Scissor, but it didn't do much damage and get hit with Revenge. Next turn, we use Swords Dance while they use Revenge, and after that, we use X Scissor again, and we land a critical hit to knock him out. His last Pokemon is Onix, and with 3 Brick Breaks, we win the fight. And surprisingly, it was a bit harder than I thought, as Kettle stood no chance against his fighting types, as their fire moves were too much for Kettle. So that sucks. I feel like every time we send out Cool Ranch, something always happens, so we never get to see what it can really do. Anyways, Sweet Chili was a bit questionable, as it took 3 Brick Breaks to knock out Onix, so that had me scratching my head, but it didn't do bad. With that, we face our last Elite Four member, Karen, and this is how it went. With Sweet Chili, we use 2 Swords Dance and then use Brick Break to knock out Umbreon. Her next Pokemon is Murkrow, but since we already raised our attack, we stay in and use Thrash to one-shot them. Her next Pokemon is Houndoom, but unfortunately we're slower and they land a Flamethrower to knock us out. So we send out Cool Ranch and we get hit by 2 Dark Pulses that did a lot of damage before we were able to take it down with 2 Surfs. Her next Pokemon is Vileplume, and we try to one-shot it with Ice Beam, but we didn't do enough and get taken out by Petal Dance. So we send out Kettle and use Confusion to knock them out. Her next Pokemon is Gengar, and we spam like 5 Confusions to win the fight. Sweet Chili was overall a solid Pokemon, as it got the job done, so I can confidently say give it a shot. You might want to EV train it though, but other than that, it was great. Something I realized is that even holding a Never Melt Ice, Cool Ranch still couldn't take down Vileplume, so that's concerning for the last fight. Other than that, Kettle is slowly falling off. It didn't do well for the Elite Four, but it was an absolute beast for the gyms. I'm just glad we were still able to put in some work with Kettle. Now that we've beaten the Elite Four, it's time to face the champion, Lance. He sends out Gyarados, and with Cheeseball, we immediately eat dirt as they use Waterfall to flinch us. Not only that, Rock Tomb didn't do much, and Gyro Ball was tragic. At the end, we get taken down by Dragon Pulse. Funyuns was doing really good using Ice Fang, but out of nowhere we get hit with a crit Dragon Rush, knocking us out in 1 move. That was insane. I send out Cool Ranch and immediately get hit with Thunder and get hit with Paralysis. We sent out Sweet Chili to face Aerodactyl and got absolutely destroyed, not being able to do nothing. So that pretty much happened with like 2 other Pokemon, and that's pretty much about it. When Charizard came out, we couldn't move and we lost the fight. That was rough. Let's try again. This time we send out Funyuns, but we still get flinched first turn. It sucked, but with 2 Thunder Fangs, we knocked them out. He sends out Dragonite, and with Thunder, we get KO'd. So we send out Kettle and land a Stun Spore and Leech Seed before going down to a Dragon Rush. With Cool Ranch, we were able to take down 2 Dragonites, but we did get hit with Paralysis. His next Pokemon is Aerodactyl, and we get hit with Thunderfang. After that, we use 3 Surfs and make them use all of their potions before going down to a Rock Slide. So we send out Cheeseball and we use Gyro Ball to knock them out. He sends out Charizard and Quick Claw finally activates and we use Rock Tomb, but we miss and get destroyed by Fire Fang. And since Quick Claw didn't activate again, we get knocked out by another Fire Fang. We send out Barbecue and use Extra Sensory, but it didn't do much and we get hit by a crit Fire Fang. Next turn, we use Air Slash while they use another Fire Fang, but we live with 12 HP. Next turn, we finally get an Air Slash that gets the flinch, but next turn, they heal. No way, I swear we got rid of all their potions, that sucks. But luckily, we were still able to land 3 more Air Slashes before going down to a Fire Fang. We send out Sweet Chili, and with an X Scissor, we knock him out. Lance sends out his last Pokemon, Dragonite, and we use a Swords Dance while they miss a Fire Blast. What are the odds of that happening? Next turn, we use Thrash, and I could not believe me eyes. That is terrible. Next turn, we use Thrash, and I could not believe my eyes. We got a critical hit to one-shot him, winning the fight. I can't believe we actually won like that. Who says Sweet Chili can't hang? And just like that, we become the new champions. If you like this video and want to see more stuff like this, subscribe and like the video as it really helps out the channel. And until next time, have a great day. See ya.